Good morning. It's 10:02 a.m. on Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. Call this meeting of the Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. If everyone would please rise, Commissioner Watts is going to give our invitation.
Oh, everybody, please pray with me this morning. Dear Heavenly Father, we just ask you to forgive us our sins, Father, and where we fall short. We ask that you watch over our families, protect them, and guide them, and we lift up our family and friends to you this morning, Father. Be with us, be with this court as we make decisions that affect the taxpayers of Wichita County, Father. Guide us wisely. Be with us and hold us in the palm of your hand through this meeting. Father, we ask that you be with those that protect us around this globe, around the country, and here at home, Father, that are part and meet a special need. Father, we just lift them up in prayer and pray your protection over them. Father, we just thank you for the many blessings, for the wonderful rain, because you know, without us even asking, what we're in need of, Father. We give you all the praise and all the honor and all the glory. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join us for the pledge to the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, everyone may be seated. All right, at this time, if we've got some folks here for the proclamation for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, would you all come up to the front? Okay, then I'll be making a proclamation for the whole county. Whereas on average there are 463,634 victims of rape and sexual assault each year in the United States, meaning every 68 seconds an American is sexually assaulted. And whereas this year's theme for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, Building Connected Communities, calls on each of us to work together to prevent sexual abuse, harassment, and assault. And whereas First Step of Wichita Falls will continue to offer hope, comfort, and the reassurance to survivors that they are not alone. And whereas individuals in our community can embrace their voices to show their support for survivors, stand up to victim blaming, shut down rape jokes, correct harmful misconceptions, promote everyday consent, and practice healthy communication with kids. Now therefore, the Wichita County Commissioners Court hereby proclaims April 2024 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Wichita County and encourages all citizens to join advocates across our community in taking action to prevent sexual violence. While April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, each day of the year is an opportunity to create change for the future. That's our proclamation. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and please keep that in mind and do what you can to raise awareness as we move forward. Oh, Jeff, would you mind over to Nancy? Oh, thank you. Okay, at this time we have a presentation of the recognition of the Hotter than Hell 100 being named the #1 best road cycling event for 2024 by USA Today. Hand it over to Commissioner Beecham.
Thank you. One of the coolest things we get to do as being commissioners is get to brag on the great things that our community has to offer. And without a doubt, our best thing in Wichita Falls is the Hotter than Hell 100. It's the biggest, it's the best. And now we've got national recognition to prove we're the biggest and best. USA Today had a contest where they selected 20 events similar to Hotter than Hell as the top 20 in the nation. They put those out for their readers to vote on, and guess what? We were proving what we knew already, that we are the biggest, the best, the granddaddy of them all. The Hotter than Hell 100 was selected as the best road cycling event in the country, readers in USA Today. So with that, I'd like to recognize the father of Hotter than Hell, Roman Christie, the executive director of Hotter than Hell, Chip Fowler, and Sandy, the workhorse of Hotter than Hell, the one that literally gave her head for Hotter than Hell 1 year.
Yeah.
So we're so proud of what y'all do for the community, what y'all mean to this community. The hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars y'all bring into the community every year. And with this new honor by USA Today, we'll bring in even more tourism dollars to Wichita County. And we so appreciate everything that y'all do. Would y'all like to say anything?
Yeah, I would.
Please, come on up.
forward.
Hey, yes, and I want a picture, Mark, with you and the guys when it's all over with. so-
Okay, great, awesome.
I just wanted to make a comment. Hotter than hell could not exist without the support of the community. I mean, the county does wonders for us. Each of the cities in the community, in the county, also support us 100%. And without that, we would not continue to exist. It is absolutely amazing. We tell people that we don't own Hotter than Hell, the community does. And that's true. We see it year after year after year because we may get 10,000 riders come in, but we also have somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 volunteers from the local community that make it happen. So thank you very much for the recognition. We were very proud to come out on top in USA Today. And we are seeing that in registrations also.
Awesome.
good.
That is
So
awesome.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
You want to take a picture with Mark?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Roby, you have anything to say?
I suppose my comments, much like Chip's, we don't exist on our own, and we have support from the county, from the city, from the state of Texas, and from each and every individual that comes to help us during Hotter than Hell 100. Without that anchor, without that support from a really large segment of our community, we would be like a leaf just blowing in the wind.
Amen.
But we're attached to a large root and tree structure, and we thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a family.
It
It is a family
Absolutely.
that you can't leave, ever.
Even though you try as hard as you can.
I do want to say one more thing. This award specifically for road cycling, but Hotter than Hell's grown up. It's more than just a road cycling event. It's 4 days of all kinds of things, from criterium racing, which is the speed racers downtown, which is really cool to watch. If you've never done that, go watch. It's mountain bike day on Friday, which you actually had to have a license to do that. I did it once and once only. It was awesome.
Certified crazy.
I am certified. It is. It will take skin and hide and bones and everything else. So it's the road ride and race on Saturday. Then Saturday night, it's all night long gravel riding.
Yeah.
So, and then Sunday, it's a half marathon on that mountain bike trail that's really one of the better mountain bike trails in the state. And that's a lot thanks to Sandy and her crew's efforts to make that thing awesome. Just another thing that our community has because of Hotter than Hell.
In that same line of thought, the Midwestern University bicycle racing team was spawned shortly after Hotter than Hell got started. And we're a small university, but we compete against the biggest universities in the United States. And our conferences, Texas University, Texas Tech, Baylor, all these big universities, and we win our conference almost every year and have won the nationals every year, competing against people that, well, our football team couldn't compete against.
That's right.
But our cyclists can, and we're proud that that has been another addition to the value of Hotter than Hell 100 and the value of the work that people put into this event.
We have how many current national champions on that team?
Say that again?
How many current national champions from last year?
There are two.
Two.
Current.
Current national
Yeah.
champions.
What was really interesting is this past week was the reunion for the cycling teams, and we had people that came back from the beginning of Team Arrow.
Yeah.
There was a picture on Facebook of everybody that showed up. We had the first national champion came back from Puerto Rico, and then one couple came in from Serbia. So it was
Yeah,
quite a weekend.
Literally come from all over the world to be part of
Yeah.
MSU cycling. And that's all thanks in part to Hotter and Hill being part of our community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's, if I'm traveling anywhere in the state or the country, invariably if someone knows Wichita Falls, it's probably going to be one of two things. They either Shepherd Air Force Base in their time here, or the Hotter and Hill 100. And it's nice to have that instant connection with folks who know Wichita County and Wichita Falls and our whole area because of a good experience and a great event. So it's well-deserved recognition. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, every week, we're given an opportunity to post something in the National Association of Counties, so everybody in the country, every county official is able to look at. And I always want to post something that's better than anybody in the United States in every county. But you know, there's a common thread that runs through people that excel and have the best of everything. They're not given 100%, they're all invested to 120%. And you know what? When they have somebody helping them that's only given 80, they get rid of that person and get somebody that's giving them 120. So that all champions, they have the same thing, and y'all are all champions in my book, and I'm going to post this in the national.
You want them out in front of that TV then, if you're gonna post it?
Wherever the background.
That's a great background.
Yeah, I
think it
Great
is.
That's
background.
right.
No, that's wonderful.
And everybody that's in my picture, make your pen can and smile at the camera. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
You know, Judge, you go back to when this thing got started, and I remember the discussions, because at the time, it was a little different out there than it is now in the media. They were struggling to say hotter than hell on the air.
Yeah.
And it was Joe Tom White that coined the phrase, hotter than Thunder 100. I'll never forget that, but that's how much things have changed. Which there was really, the context is, there was really nothing ever wrong with it, but there were some people that had some real questions as to whether you could do that or not. But
There were a lot of blue jean shorts and swim bikes the first year, and,
Yeah.
and paper plates for numbers because they completely ran out. The registration was so much.
the hotter than, the hotter than Thunder, yeah.
Thank you all for being here this morning.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's all for our presentations this morning. So at this time, we will go to public comment. It is 10:14. And we'll remind everyone that if anyone has a public comment to make, we ask that comments be limited to 5 minutes or less, and that the Commissioners Court cannot take action on any item brought up during public comment. Does anyone have public comment this morning? Okay. It is still 10:14, and public comment is closed. So let's move on to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions, comments, need clarification on anything on the consent agenda?
Judge, the only thing that I don't fully understand is, can you tell me what item 6 is actually, what are we doing in item 6?
Sure, let me pull it out so I can tell you the specifics. So county participates, and I think specifically, it mostly runs through our DA's office, but the county participates in the statewide automated victim notification service. And we get a grant from the state that reimburses us for that. What you'll see in the documents here, but this is our quarterly, essentially we turn in our expenses quarterly to the Office of the Attorney General who runs the grant. We turn in our expenses and then they write us a check to reimburse.
Okay.
And so that's what this is doing, is
Okay.
it's the reimbursement.
Okay. And then my only other question is on item 11.
Mm-hmm.
So we are issuing a check in the amount of $5,000 for a deductible, and that satisfies the insurance. Our insurance has paid everything above $5,000, and we're just making the customer whole.
No, so we had a court order last week that did approve us paying a deductible to TAC for a vehicle. And then it's my understanding that TAC realized they sent the invoice to us in error for that deductible. And so this is rescinding that court order.
Oh, gotcha.
We are
Good.
not sending the check
perfect.
to you.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve the
I got
consent
a
agenda.
question.
Okay.
We usually receive the auditor's and treasurer's report and investment report as part of general business
Mm-hmm.
In person.
in person. Why is it in consent today?
The auditor's report has been in consent since we started
Okay.
reporting it. The treasurer's report is because Stephen couldn't be here today,
Okay.
and so
I'll amend my motion to read that we not approve those, we table them until they're available to present those in person in the general business.
okay.
So just not approve the auditor, treasurer, and the investment report until they're here in person, they can tell it to, and they pick the time.
Okay.
Second.
All right, so the motion that I have from Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon, is to approve the consent agenda with items 7, 8, and 9 pulled off and tabled until we can have an in-person report from the auditor and the treasurer. Do we have any questions or comments on the items in the consent agenda or the motion itself? Okay, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. All right, general business. Item number 1, public hearing to consider the approval of a tax abatement agreement with Westlake Pipe and Fittings Corporation. Let me get my stuff ready here.
I think that was your.
Yep, I think so. All right, it is 10:19, and we will open up this time for our public hearing to consider the approval of a tax abatement agreement with Westlake Pipe and Fittings Corporations. To start us off, I'd like to invite Damon Gear and, will it be just Damon? Okay. I'd like to invite Damon Gear of Westlake Pipe and Fittings Corporation to come up and just give a brief overview again to remind us on the proposed expansion and what we're talking about here.
Judge, Commissioners, thanks for having us again. David Gary, Westlake Corp. Congrats again on the Hotter Than Hell recognition. I have a bunch of friends from around the state that come up here for that event, so it's a great event. But to our project, to our expansion, we're looking to expand our plant. 129 million, add 38 quality jobs, and it'll be producing PVC pipe. It'll be able to produce up to 28-inch pipe, but more than likely the water pipe you see around for infrastructure. So with that, that's the brief summary. We met a couple of months ago, I believe, on a little bit more details. So this abatement will help support the decision to expand it here instead of elsewhere. So.
Yeah. And I'll be laying out the abatement here in just a second, but if you've got any general questions about the expansion, Damon can answer those. Or
How many more jobs again?
38 more jobs.
38 more jobs?
Right,
All high-paying jobs.
right.
the average wage expected $60,000.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, I do have a question for you. I have a lot of friends in administration that's still there, you know,
Yeah.
they provide 51% of the nation's supply of plastic bags there in Iowa Park, Texas, and we're proud to have them here.
You're right.
And they've been telling me that you actively recruiting their people to work in Wichita Falls, and that is great, and you're paying them more money than what they've been paying.
Okay.
That's the way the real world works.
Well, I'm glad I don't work in that area, but I'm glad to know that we're even recruiting and bringing
Because
jobs.
that's the commitment that you're here to do business and
Yep.
be in Wichita Falls when you're hiring these people already and putting them to work at a higher wage, and we appreciate you for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Any other questions for Damon? Okay, thank you.
All right.
If there are any more come up, I'll call you
Yeah.
back up there too. Okay, so let me just lay out the abatement. This is, not much has changed since the last time I briefed court on the proposed, what negotiations were looking like on the abatement. But as Damon said, this abatement would have two main requirements of Westlake to make it move forward and to keep it moving, and that is a capital investment of around $129 million, and 38 new full-time positions with an average base salary of approximately $60,000.
And you're saying that's what they have
That's-
to bring to the table?
That's what they are offering as part of their expansion to qualify for the abatement.
Great.
The abatement would begin on January 1st, 2027, and it would be a 10-year abatement. And it would be an abatement of M&O taxes only of 60% on the increased value for the premises and the tangible personal property, of 60% for years 1 through 5. And then for years 6 through 10, it would be for 50%. All of you have, we've got the abatement here. You're welcome to look through it. Lisa's here. She can answer any questions if there are any. It's a pretty straightforward abatement, and I think I'm just thrilled to be able to offer it because I think this is exactly the type of expansion project that
Yeah,
we're
this is
wanting to
awesome.
see in this
I
area.
guarantee you, it's common sense, smart.
Yep.
The county's a benefactor, this company's a benefactor from day one. And I think it's a smart move to go 50-50. I mean, you're getting a little advantage, first 5 years, but the rest of the time, we're equal partners.
Yep.
And then they are fully ready to fly on their own and we're not having to sit around making no money, and we're helping the taxpayer by reducing their bill, because this big group, 50% of their taxes is more money than we can ever imagine.
Yep.
And it helps the taxpayer reduce their taxes. Smart move,
Absolutely.
Judge. And I make the motion and we move forward with this.
We'll-
we can't-
yeah,
gotta
we
close-
can't
gotta
close
close.
it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
Public hearing.
what were you saying?
Got to
Commissioner?
close public hearing
Yeah,
before we.
yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No,
or-
I was just total agreement with Jeff.
Okay, because this is a public hearing, want to invite any member of the public who would like to express comment, ask a question, who has anything they'd like to say about, for the court to consider before we take action on the next item. Is there anyone who'd like, any member of the public who has anything they'd like to add? Okay, then it is 10:24, and we will close this public hearing. All right, item number 2, consider and take action to authorize the county judge to sign tax abatement agreement between Wichita County and Westlake Pipe and Fittings
So
Corporation.
moved.
I'll second. In the right time frame.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Watts, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, to authorize the county judge to sign this proposed tax abatement agreement between Wichita County and Westlake Pipe and Fittings Corporation. Does anyone have any questions on the item or the motion? All right, that motion is before us. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Two
Judge,
great
this
things.
is- This is what the abatement process was designed for.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
Yeah, two great things for our community and one commissioner's court. That's good. That's awesome.
That's right. Okay, good deal. And just want to, if in case y'all have to step out early or anything, want to thank folks from Westlake and Merit Financial Advisor, our Merit Advisors, for being here today.
Thank you, Judge, and the commissioner.
Yeah. Oh, and Mariah from the Chamber is here also. I want to thank her for coming too. So.
It's been a pleasure to work with you all.
Yeah, thank you. All right, item number 3, discuss, consider, and/or take action to award transport services bids. I think Nancy handed out both of the bids that we opened last week and that are under consideration today.
Nancy, I don't have those.
I've got a copy.
It's right there.
Oh,
They're right there.
oh, okay.
The relevant information for the actual bids is on page 6 of both documents. And then I think each of them on page 10 have a different, they just add different information that's supplemental.
You said page 6 is the
Page
comparison.
6 of each one is, yes, though. While everyone is just reviewing that, is there anyone that's got a question or comment that they would like to make this time on the bids? Judge Hughes, coming forward and.
Just wanted to thank you, Judge, for allowing a brief moment, and if the court would allow me, I have a correspondence from our law enforcement. Wichita Falls Police Department was planning on being here today, but they had a deceased call, so they are currently on scene right now. But this is a message from Wichita Falls Police Department. And they say, well, you can mention that on our behalf, and you have talked to us, we are beyond happy with text line and would hate to lose them. Number one, their promptness on showing up to calls. It cuts down on manpower hours and overtime in working these deceased calls. Number two, text line's professionalism on scene and handling the bodies with care, since the majority of the time families are on scene. That hasn't been the case in the past with other mortuary services. There have been instances with prior mortuary services where bodies have been dropped in front of families. Number three, text line always arrives prepared, that with necessary equipment to handle the body, such as bags, sheets, tarps, etc., and also help to remove the body. In the past, mortuary services employees have shown up with just one person, and it's impossible for them to move the bodies alone, making our officers have to stop their job of securing the scene or collecting evidence to help them do their job. Overall, the police department would hate to lose these services because it allows us to fully concentrate on the investigations at hand and conducting a thorough and complete investigation instead of having to worry about the removal of a body. Also goes on to say that they were going to stress the integrity of the body and the tampering that has been brought up in the past. We cannot have that. This jeopardizes so much and is a major issue moving forward. And that has always been an issue with the JPs, is, our name is attached to that body. When it's a criminal matter, there's not one piece of evidence that is extremely crucial to those cases that go up in the higher court than that body. And we have heard in the past with other mortuary services, whether it be the body or the bags or tampering, the timeliness that those bodies are getting to SWIFT. SWIFT's is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week facility. They never shut down. Bodies aren't taken down there at the convenience. They're taken down there because in a timely manner, since we've used text line, not at a convenience of other mortuary services when they get around to it. So just the secure of the body and having our name as the JPs attached to that is just a number one priority for us. And so we would just like to relay that to the court. I'm not aware of what the bids are. Those are sealed bids. Those are completely with the Commissioner's Court. But as far as JPs and law enforcement, we have been extremely happy with the services that we have had with text line. Prior to that, I think the record and what WFPD says for itself, but that's, if the court has any questions for the judges, or, I can try to address. I know the law enforcement's not here, but I can express how happy they are with text line. But if you have any questions for me, that's what I'm here for as well.
Judge Hughes, I've got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Because as with any bid that we award here in Commissioner's Court, all of those we award, and then they're subject to contract negotiation before a fully finalized document is done. It sounds like from what you were indicating in your remarks, WFPD would strongly be in favor of requiring 2 workers be present anytime that they're called out to that. It sounds like that's what they said in their remarks.
Yes, sir.
And then on your side, you were saying timeliness of taking those remains to SWIFT's, I guess within a certain time frame, is something that y'all would strongly encourage.
Yes, sir.
Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything else that I have missed there that you would suggest?
No, sir.
Okay.
And those 2 things were left out of the original bid process, right?
Those 2 things are not in the RFP.
Right.
That's correct.
So I've always found it to be that the best companies are a little higher than the other companies that are not quite as good. And so, Judge, if there's no further questions, I'll move that pending negotiations, we move forward with text line.
I have some questions on that.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to comment too.
Hold on. Hold on.
I have some questions before we go.
You can ask your questions and then I'll call it.
Before we go voting. What was the prior service we had contract with? Which company?
Currently, we're using text line.
I know.
Prior to that would be Wichita Falls Embalming.
Wichita Falls Embalming is one of the people that put in a bid on this one, correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
And that company's been purchased by another company.
Yeah, we purchased in December of last year.
And this is what I'm getting at. And I've voiced my opinion on this before. I don't know either one of these. And there's a lot of people that are saying great things about text line. But if you have a new company that stepped in and bought another company that maybe was having trouble and they're trying to change, how do you ever gonna know if they have changed or if they're willing to do a better job if they're never given the chance? Because we were given bids and their bid is almost one third cheaper.
Hey, I can answer that question.
I mean, how do you ever know?
Yeah, you come just like with the most honorable guy you can find that everybody trusts and believes, and they speak on behalf because they've done business with that company in a prior life, and they come and say, listen, my word is true and correct, and these are the best people you'll ever find, and they're willing to do it worth the money. Otherwise, the only way to get your foot in the door is to be the cheapest out there. I've done it a million times. And I may be the highest, but I'm going to bring with me the hardest hitters I can. And they're going to say, this guy is telling you the truth. We've used him here and he's done perfect. I'm standing up and say, we used him here and he's doing perfect. We used him here and we're doing perfect. Now that's this big group, and this big group. And they've got 3 men just like this one telling me the truth. I believe what he tells me and I believe what the sheriff's department tells me. So I don't have to hear from nobody else. And if you're not going to let me hear from somebody else, because I know what I'm going to say, I own the company. But let me bring you 3 customers that wouldn't change for love nor money.
Okay.
That's how I know.
Now, I'd still like to go back a little further here.
Are these questions for Judge Hughes? I'm gonna let him sit down.
I will say that, to answer that, no, I have dealings with prior Wichita Falls Embalming.
Correct.
I've had zero contact with the new owner. Now, is that on him to reach out to the JPs to say, hey, this is what we're offered, this is our facility, this is what we can do, this is what I can do? I don't know. That's not for me to tell him how to run his business, but I can tell you that those steps were never taken. I can also, so I can't speak for the new owner,
Right.
but I can tell you the way it was, and I can definitely tell you the way it is.
And I hear all the time.
Yes,
that right
sir.
now it's ran very well.
Yes, sir.
But that being said, this is a bid process. The
Yes, sir.
county's supposed to go by a bid process.
Yes, sir.
If a company comes in and they're not doing good, then we should get rid of them. I don't disagree with that. If you have an employee or a company working for you that's not doing the job proper,
Yes, sir.
then we are to cut ties with them. If there's problems, and WFPD has noticed that there's problems, when Wichita Falls Embalming had it,
But at the time, that was the only
whether they're
provider.
under contract or not, if there's reason for the judge just cause, we'll end that contract. So that tells me that it wasn't done either. We need to step up and do that if there's a problem.
And maybe in prior commissioners scored, maybe there wasn't a voice. Maybe
Right.
there wasn't a platform to issue those concerns
I
or to
agree.
issue those problems.
Yeah.
Because if you only have one provider that's offering bids, because, and I think the judge can testify this, we didn't know what we were getting into until we had 2 bids
Yeah.
come to the table.
And what is the current price for this right now? What's the current price for a trip to Dallas? What's our current contracted price? $280. It's $280 right now? And what was it prior to this? We just approved that $280 not very long ago, correct?
That was back in June, July.
What was the price prior to that? Can you tell me that, Nancy?
I'm gonna look it up.
Because I think it dropped quite a bit on our last renewal.
They got the contract by being the lowest price. They had no experience, no relationship built with the law enforcement or anything. They got the contract from Wichita Falls by beating them on price.
Well, and I'm just wanting to know what that prior price was.
And I don't know exactly what it was then either.
Because I remember us renewing a contract for transportation service, and it seems like, and I don't know, this has been quite a while ago.
Yes, sir.
It seems like the trip to Dallas was $3-something. It could have been $360. I'm just going from memory. And it dropped to $280 when we got competition bidding on it.
Yes, sir.
It was a noticeable drop. And it was a noticeable drop in the bags and the prices and all that. And when we sent it out to bid again prior to this, our bag prices came in all different. And Texline had higher bag prices than Wichita Falls and Bombing considerably.
Can I
But-
speak to that? So
yeah.
the first time that we bid, there was nothing on the bid that asked for bag
Correct.
prices, so
Right.
we didn't have that on here. So during that meeting, you guys asked what we would charge for bags, and we said, our charges will just be the same as theirs. So we based our price off of what they had bid, which I guess is what we all were already paying,
Well, I mean,
so.
when you come to court and you got the all prices all there and you say, yeah, we'll agree to do it for the same as them, I mean,
and
it's
it
not
was-
really a bid process at that point.
No, it wasn't, but the thing is, because that wasn't asked for, we did not.
Right.
put
And that's
that
why
on
we
there.
put this
And
out
so
front.
we just-
Yeah.
we just said-
But I'm still getting back to this same thing.
Well, I re-ask you again, okay? I mean, I wanna answer that question.
Go ahead.
Because, you know, that I always gotten really irritated that one company may have the brand I really want, and it's $100. And then another company, they sell the same brand for 50. The same exact thing, I want both. When I go to the one for 50, they're out of that product.
Right.
But I can get it, and I can get it for $100, and I can go there, and that company always has it. And I tell the company that's got it for 50, you know, when I'm selling this top product and I'm out of it, I only ask 20.
There again, we're back to the same.
No, I'm making a point. If I can be the cheapest and get you to do it, and then I'm not doing the job, and I'm picking what is the best for this county doesn't involve price. It's doing who's gonna show up and get the job done. And I'm gonna pay the person that shows up and gets the job done. Everybody that I think hung the moon has called me and said, listen, Texline gets the job done. And I'm gonna pay that person, that's who I'm gonna hire, the person that gets the job done. Now, if Texline has somebody that everybody trusts, Judge Hughes in the Sheriff's Department, and Texline can't keep them happy and they quit, and they start a new company, and to get their foot in the door, they show up and say, I'm gonna do it for half price, Texline. And Judge Hughes says, I know this guy. He's always done that. He's the one that showed up every time. And the sheriff's office says, I know this guy. He's the one that showed up every time. And now he's doing it for half price. Texline better be paying attention to what they're doing, or that employee's gonna stop and get that job for half the price, because the people that I trust are telling me this guy is what we should do.
Yeah, Nancy, ever get our dollar figure?
Okay, hold on, I see. You have it, Nancy, or you're still looking?
I'm looking at, okay, so for the remainder of 2023, Wichita Falls and Bombing was $310.50 for the trip, $125 for picking up the body,
Okay.
and Texline was $100 to pick up the body and $280 per trip.
Okay.
They would have been the one prior to that.
Yeah.
But neither they're here nor there.
Yes,
I don't disagree that Texline has won the hearts and souls of a lot of people. They're doing great business.
And again, Mickey, I'll say, you cannot slash your way
But
into prosperity.
That-
You can't do
that
the best
$50
thing by
that $50
doing the
one that they're
cheapest.
out, Jeff. If they're out, then that's the deal. Then cut ties with them. Don't go back and do business with them. That's what I'm saying.
But
If
you
you have
know
a
what?
contract.
You know
just
what,
take
I
it.
can tell you that we've got some challenges with people right now that thought it was best to hire the cheapest person to be the manager
Right.
instead of the best person to be the manager. And
Okay.
those are problems that this cost you 9 fortunes, but yet you're paying for the cheapest guy. and you've got 9 problems because of it.
Does anyone have any other questions for Judge Hughes?
No, sir.
Okay, Judge, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Judge. Thank you, Commissioner.
This time, remind me your name, sir.
Jeremiah Asbury.
Jeremiah Asbury. Mr. Asbury, come forward.
Yes, sir.
I know you've got something to say. I'll also offer you all the chance to come and address the court as well and answer questions.
I'm the current owner of Wichita Falls Embalming Service. We picked it up December of last year. So prior to that, Wichita Falls, prior to Texline getting the contract, Wichita Falls had it for over a decade, 15 years or something like that. They had the contract, no complaints. So up to that, from what I'm learning, the owner, Dave Newton, had dementia. So he let his company slip. And that gave Texline an opportunity. It was another name to come in right during the pandemic. So they ended up getting the bid by underbidding Wichita Falls Embalming Service. Now, no one said anything prior to, but none of that's neither here nor there about what's going on. What I am going to do is, and the way that I set my bid up, is for a 2-man removal team. I've listened every time that I've come. I've been here every time that we put this on the table, and I've listened to the complaints that the courts had. I've listened to the complaints that the judges had. When he came the first time, he said removal times and then not having a 2-man team. So I've set mine up, my bid process, the way that I've set it up and bid it is for a 2-man removal team, and then I've also implemented tracking for our response time for the removals, right? So we have, it'll built in, we'll have the time that we receive the call from whatever law enforcement agency, and then we'll track the time that we arrive on scene, and that'll give us our response time. So every single call that we do for Wichita County, you will know our response times, and we will track that and make sure that we're up to par with what you guys need done. So we're going to have a 2-man removal team, so that fixes that. Every time that we go to a county call, any Wichita County call will be a 2-man removal team. And then we'll track our response time. And then on top of that, we have a cold storage facility. We have a capacity with a cooler, with an actual, walk-in cooler. 2 of them actually we have on our facility. So we have better storage capabilities. We have a fleet of 5 vans. If we have to do a certain time that you want those, if you want them to be delivered, from scene directly, we will work and figure that out. I don't think that that's the current process either. I don't think that they're leaving directly. I don't know what exactly they're doing, but from what I hear, that's not what they're doing. So 2 Swifts, they're not going directly from scene most of the time. And it's not really practice in the industry either to go directly to the ME's office. So I do ME calls in Oklahoma, a lot of them, So, and we'll hold them to the next day and then send a driver up, and it's common practice. But we do have cold storage facilities. There is no need for us to go into any bag once they're bagged on scene. There's no need for us to go into the bags or tamper with any evidence or anything like that. But if we have to facilitate certain things to make you guys feel comfortable, I'm here to do that, and I'm here to work with you. But like you said, Texline got the bid by underbidding Wichita Falls, and you guys gave them the opportunity. I'm the new owner from December. I'm taking over, and I'm going to rebuild this company into something that's respectable like it was prior to Dave Newton's downslide. He had a respectable company here in Wichita Falls since like 1994 or something like that. So, and I'm wanting to build that back up. And I'm wanting to take care of the community in the way. And I've already got the contract for the cremations. So I've been working towards, whatever we've had done. I used a different temporary container than what was used. They contacted me and said I would like to switch to this type of temporary container, and I facilitated that. So whatever I need to do in order to make this a good working relationship and provide a service that you guys appreciate and respect and you feel and get the value of, that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we broke this bidding down now to apples, so the price is there. And everything that you guys have said that there had been an issue with Wichita Falls prior to my acquisition, I've attempted to repair and remediate and make you guys feel comfortable that I'm going to provide you guys with the service that you have value in. So we're down to apples and apples. It's cost to cost, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I didn't know it was going to be a popularity contest that I had to go and introduce myself to the law enforcement agencies, and I'm sorry for that. I didn't realize that was going to be needed. But, as we go forward, I could have brought you a laundry list of Wichita Falls funeral homes that I work for through Oklahoma. I have a very respected name in the community of North Texas and all of Southwest Oklahoma and everywhere, I pride myself on doing an excellent job. So I'm gonna bring that to the table for you guys as well. So whatever we need to do, if you guys move forward with me providing the service for, I'm willing to do whatever we need to do as far as timeline, because we're gonna be taking those bodies to Swift one way or the other. So if I have to facilitate having a driver leave directly from that scene to Dallas, Texas, then we'll facilitate that. That's what we're here for, to provide that service in a manner that you guys find the value. And other than that, I can't say a lot to the way that it was ran in the past. I wasn't the owner or the manager of the facility then. I can't say nothing to that, but I can promise you that things have changed and are already changing in order to make this a better and back to a more respectable commercial embalming, transport, cremation service for the community of Wichita County.
Okay.
All right.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr.
I have a
Asbury?
statement too
Yes, sir.
while he's here. Sir, what you tell me may or may not be true.
Mhm.
There's two options.
Yes, sir.
And text line in this instance brought me somebody that I can say what they're telling me is true.
Yes, sir.
And you know what happens when that's the case? I'm not bothered by somebody because everybody's doing their job. But you know what happens when I have to find out and using the cheap way?
Yeah.
I'm pestered to death to fix the problem because I went with the cheapest solution and that don't work.
I understand that.
So text line, hats off to you because you brought a man that I do know that what he's telling me is the truth.
Yes, sir.
And so you now understand, and next time you'll show up in this court and what you tell me will be backed up by somebody that I know is telling me the truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Any other questions for Mr. Asbury? Thank you, sir.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Coyne?
I'm actually Eric Bankin.
Okay, Eric, sorry. Come forward and identify yourself and who you're with.
Eric Bankin, I'm with Texline Mortuary. He said it's apples to apples. It is 30% apples to apples, according to the evaluation criteria set forth by the Commissioner's Court on the request for proposal. 30% price, 30% experience, 10% response time, 5% financial strength, 25% ability to timely perform. I believe Judge Hughes has pretty well attested to most of that. 30% is the price. That leaves 70% of your decision based on other factors. It has been testified here twice, once in January and here from Judge Hughes, support from the law enforcement agencies, the JPs. We cover the other 70% fairly well. Yes, sir.
Was I stuttering?
No, sir. Not at all.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to move on and get to the vote if I could, so.
I'm perfectly fine
Just
with
wanted
that.
to offer equal time for both.
Oh,
for both
there you
Sure,
companies.
and I just wanted to bring it to the attention that while apples to apples, yes, 30% is apples to apples, there's still 70% of the evaluation criteria that lies outside of that cost.
And a big part of it's experience.
And to say one thing to that, I would agree with that 100% if you had the same owner and the same people dealing. No different than when you started your company. If you came to the court and this same thing was happening, I would be standing up for your bid also. Because I don't know you personally. I don't know him personally. And from what I hear, you're doing a great job. But I will not vote for a higher deal from somebody that's not proven. That being said, if they were to get the bid and they do a terrible job, I'd be the first one to scream to get them kicked out of that contract. Because I don't want to have subpar people working for the county. I don't want any part of it. So I'd be tickled to death if you get the bid, and I just want you to know that's my feeling on it.
Right.
Well,
And I understand, and while there may be new owners, is the staff the same? Is a factor that we have to know. And, there's so many factors I completely
There is
understand,
a lot.
and I understand and respect your position as well. Thank you.
well, and I want to comment on Mickey's position. Last Saturday, I used Mickey's company to help me personally. And I called Mickey and said, hey, can you help me? He said, you need something right now? I said, yes, sir. I didn't know what the price was, but let me tell you, I wasn't shopping around because I know who I'm trading with, and I knew what he was telling me. He was going to show up and do it. So,
No, hold on. I will call you up here.
so that's how I base my decision. And Mickey will bill me, he hadn't billed me yet, and I still don't know what the price is, but I got the job done.
Okay.
I have a question for Judge Hughes.
Hold on. Do we have any other questions for Eric before we're done? No. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. No,
Yes, sir.
on transports to Swifts, is it common practice to hold those overnight in the cooler, or do we want them transported immediately? What is the common practice?
Normally, the common practice is once a mortuary service has the document from the judge giving them permission to transport the body to Swifts, and once the mortuary service has all of the documents from the police department. So they have to send down, because they have to turn all that stuff into the medical, the death investigators that work for Swifts. They have to turn in pictures, they have to turn in documents. So once that general investigation is complete, then all of that will go with the body. Now,
But usually they go in the cooler for
Usually-
a while.
Okay,
for a
that's
while,
what I'm trying to
waiting.
wrap my head
for
around.
a couple of
'Cause I don't
hours
know the process.
until that initial investigation is done. And then we like to say, as soon as we can get that body down to
The
Swifts,
sooner the better,
the
obviously.
sooner the better. Yes, sir. But usually it's a couple of 3 to 5 to 6 hours, depending on, it's a case-by-case basis, but when that initial investigation is done with the reports and the pictures, so that can go with the body to the death investigators that work with Swifts and work with the doctors to do the autopsy.
So I guess my next question would be to both of you. You both have facilities in order to accomplish that.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and so, Mark, I want to make a comment on that. When I die, my wife and my family are going to call one of two people. Matthew McAllister, somebody I trust to tell me the truth, or Craig Cassee, somebody I trust to tell me the truth. And they're going to call one of those two people, because I'm going to tell them, they can call them and they'll tell them the truth. Both of those people told me that, Jeff Watts, you need to hire text line, because they will do what you said they will do. Now, I'm trusting both of those people. I hang my hat on them just like I do Mickey Fincannon. And they told me that's the way it is, and that's what I'm going to do. And with that, Judge, I'll make the motion we hire text line.
Okay.
Any other? Mr. Beecham?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
thank you.
Okay, yes,
No,
sir.
I need to understand the
Yes,
process.
sir, of course.
So we've got a motion on the floor from Commissioner Watts. Any other comments, discussion? We don't have a second yet either, but any other comments, discussion before we move forward? I guess I'll add one thing. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of folks who have chimed in, and people we trust, and whose opinion should be sought out, who've said good things about text line. I think that the challenge here is that they're not the low bid. You've already addressed that, and new ownership of a company matters. And
So again, Judge, last time I asked, what's the total dollar amount if we go with the highest person this county's going to spend in the course of 1 year? What's that highest amount going to be? Text line, or who can tell us that true answer? What are we talking about? $10,000 or $10 million?
it's not 10 million, but
So how much is it?
I don't know the answer right off the top of my head. If I remember correctly, based on what they were telling us last time,
$28,000?
it was less than, I think it was about
It
about
won't
50 or a
change
little
the
less.
price of the eggs in China.
Yeah, but if you work in
Mis-
more money.
Mr. Asbury, you've got to be recognized to address the court. I hear you, but
We are doing $100 million worth of business a year. And so that we hire the best person in the county and maybe spend $28,000, amen to that. Because I can spend 10 and end up costing us $150,000 by the time I'm through, because I committed to spend $10,000.
Sure.
Because of mistakes.
or you could spend 10 and get 10.
You
And that's the
may
challenge.
or may not.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. All right, so does anyone else have any
I do have a
comment,
question
discussion? Yes, sir.
for text line.
Okay.
How long have y'all been in business in Wichita Falls?
We've owned it for a year, but Jay and I and Eric have all actually ran the mortuary since 21 when my brother-in-law and his wife opened it.
Okay.
Jay's had experience with county contracts for 10 or 15 years, though. He's
Okay.
worked for Lubbock and for Denton County, so, I mean, the experience is there. But we've built a really good rapport with all of the funeral homes and obviously law enforcement and stuff in this area. And just to let you know, we did not ask for anyone to speak on our behalf. That was all done willingly by whoever it was that
That's,
spoke up for us.
that's really cool then. That's
Yeah.
better cool than what I was talking about.
Judge Hughes, and you may not know the answer to this, and if so, just tell us. Since Wichita Falls Embalming was awarded the contract for disposition of remains, and I think that's now been about a month and a half, have you had any complaints from anybody about the service on that front?
Since they deal with the indigent,
Uh-huh.
we never see
You would
that.
never see it, okay.
We don't have any information, we don't have any contact with the indigent, no, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we thankfully have some folks from our indigent health office in today, and I guess I'll direct the question to y'all. Again, you don't know, don't have that's fine, just tell us, but have there been any complaints in the last 45, 60 days since we moved over?
So we've been switching. Sometimes Text Line gets it, sometimes Asbury gets it. It just depends on where the deceased is. But so far we haven't had any issues since I've been doing cremations. Right now we're doing Text Line.
No.
Before that we were having,
No.
I guess maybe I'm not understanding the question.
So in March, beginning of March, we signed a contract with Wichita Falls Embalming to take over the disposition of remains. So we should have transferred at that time.
Yeah, we have.
Um,
With embalming.
Yeah. So again, my question is, since the beginning of March, have you had any complaints about Wichita Falls Embalming?
No.
Okay, that's what needed to
I will say good things, that we did ask that you change the container, and that was done. I haven't heard anything negative from Precinct 1 staff who deals with you directly, so. And good things about both of you, I mean,
Okay.
so.
Any other questions, comments from the court on this to help make a decision? I will say, I think, I'm not going to speak for all the court, but for myself personally, whichever bidder loses the bid, I don't think it's going to be because of specific concerns that have been brought up about your actual performance. This is where we get paid the big bucks to make hard decisions.
Judge?
Yes.
Sorry. Margaret had texted me to answer Mickey's question. She had someone in the office earlier. If you're asking about the text line cost, prior to the bid, they were charging the $280 plus the bags. Does that answer your question?
Prior to this bid, yeah.
I think I think you got what you needed.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So right now, I've got a motion by Commissioner Watts to proceed and award the bid to Text Line. Do I have a second or another motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Is there any other discussion before we take a vote on this motion? Okay. The motion by Commissioner Watts and seconded by Commissioner Mahler is to award the bid to Text Line. All right, that's the motion that's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Nay. Commissioner Beecham, I didn't. You
On
and I?
first,
Okay.
on first.
Okay, sorry, I just couldn't tell. Okay, there being 3 ayes and 2 nays, the motion passes to award the bid to Text Line.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Kill both.
Yep, thank you to both of you. And sorry, just to make sure, and that was subject to contract negotiations. of course.
Absolutely.
All right.
Oh, your group is leaving that had the proclamation.
Is that who? I didn't.
I think that's
Okay.
the group.
All right, item number 4, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve and ratify the minutes of the April 9, 2024 regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Mahler, seconded by Commissioner Watts to approve and ratify the minutes. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion or the item? Okay, that motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Item number 5, review and approve the regular bills for payment. Verify payroll taxes have been filed. Order County Treasurer to disperse payroll and/or bills within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and ledgered in the Treasurer's office.
So moved.
Second. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
He may have got me.
I think he
Judge.
beat you.
All right, that's good.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham, to approve, verify, and order the county treasurer to disperse payroll and our bills. Any questions or comments on the item or the motion? All right, the motion's before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Item number 6, receive report from the Indigent Health Office and discuss initial application pending clients. Commissioner Beecham?
Yeah, there were some questions last week on what IE pended and how they're held in status and why we're being billed at late dates. So I'll have Victoria come up and explain our process and why we see that.
Victoria, is this your first time to come before the court?
Before
You excited?
Just FYI, we're gonna start doing this regularly, every month. We're gonna have a indigent health report. And Victoria gets to be the first one up, so.
Well, one good thing, Judge, she tells the truth.
I have to bring my stats.
Go.
Yes. Oh, it's fine.
Go ahead, Victoria.
So independent clients are basically clients that have applied initially with Social Security. We hold the bills until they make an initial, Social Security makes an initial decision, and it's only because we could get reimbursed from Medicaid. We typically let the clients know, and then we also Christy up in the auditor's office, she holds them for us, and then we also let our providers know. But it's basically just letting the client as well as our providers know that until Social Security makes a decision, we have to hold them. Right now, the process before COVID time was 4 to 6 months. A little bit after COVID, it was 6 to 8 months. Right now, we have clients that are sitting about 1.5 years to almost 2 years. So the second page shows the total number of clients that we have currently, which is 85. Out of those 85, we have 7 right now that are initially waiting for a decision for Social Security. Once they get either approved, if they get approved, then we will send that paperwork to Christy to let her know, hey, you can pick up this bill. We've also had where the community has called us, the community healthcare center, they'll call us and say, hey, so-and-so has a bill, and we'll say, we're holding the bill currently, but you will most likely get the payment once that decision is made.
So, just as an example, Jim Smith has applied with Social Security and he's applying for supplemental security income, I'm guessing, SSI?
So right now, since we are the last resort, we require them to apply for Social Security disability
And disability too.
and income.
Okay, so by nature of having come in and gotten help from county through the indigent health office, we're requiring them to go to Social Security and apply
Correct.
for benefits of some sort.
Correct, because they get more benefits through Social Security than with us.
So then they go to y'all, they go get healthcare services somewhere, those bills come to your office, and then they're left pending while Social Security does its thing.
Yes, they
All
still
the,
get,
pending all the appeals and everything that happens with
correct,
Social
they
Security.
still get their primary health care. We just don't cover any specialists or medications until they get that initial decision.
But the poor person is getting served immediately.
Correct.
Okay.
They are still able to go
Okay.
to their primary care doctor.
Right.
We just cannot cover it. We just hold those bills. But medication-wise, we usually recommend them to go to their primary to see if they can get on a
Okay.
different program.
But so, oh, go ahead.
Well, because this solution's simple. You know, when those companies that are out there, like, give me an example of a good one that's wanting to be paid.
Radiology Associates, they just
Yes,
work.
that's
Okay,
one.
great company. You know what I would do? I would make sure that for the Social Security Department to take a year and a half to get something paid, you know what? They're tending to their own business. They are put in business. They exist because to serve the people of this country. And for them to take a year and a half to do a stinking job, that's the wrong people doing that job. And until the radiology associates make sure they endorse a candidate that's willing to stand up and support somebody to get the job done in 30 days like it's supposed to be due, then that's the problem right there.
Yes, sir.
And those, we can't fix that problem, but that's what needs to be fixed because it's absolutely insane. I've got a story even better than yours. I've called immigration because a guy that is unable to speak for himself has a problem. You know what? That case is still active, and I have called in 2020. I started with Max that every company in this country does except the government. Well, let me tell you that the government is wrong, and that needs to be fixed, and we need to have people that are willing to stand up and fix it because it's absolutely insane. It makes no sense whatsoever that it takes that long to get somebody paid. The company's broke, and I'm the employee that, heavens forbid, I do my job. Heaven forbid I do my job. Well, I have no use for that person whatsoever that thinks they should just be paid and not getting the job done.
So we do, as of right now, because we know it takes a lot longer for them to process Social Security, we typically give our clients 3 months to go to get their primary done, specialists, anything that could be put in their Social Security report. So that way, even if they have to wait those 2 years, they still have something tangible to be able to present to Social Security.
So, Victoria, are y'all restricted by state law from
Yes.
paying radiology associates until?
Until they get a decision.
So
It's a real smart move.
So we have a situation where if Social Security takes 18 months, we've got November of 22, and then the approval's coming in the summer of 24, and then we're paying bills that are 18 months old in
Yeah.
that case. Because we're statutorily restricted from being able to pay those.
Yeah.
Which puts it in our next fiscal year.
Right. Switch it 2 fiscal years.
Yeah, too, that's right.
Yeah,
It is
and
true.
what rocket scientists came up with that plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not a question whether we're gonna pay the bills, it's just when we're gonna do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 But,
Well, the
you know,
bureaucracy.
would you like your paycheck to come to you that way?
No.
When we get around to it, because we're
No.
busy doing stuff that we want to do,
Well,
not
you're-
what you pay your taxes for it to be
Yeah.
done.
The bureaucracy's running the show, basically. is what it
Exactly.
amounts to, yeah.
And that toilet needs to be flushed.
Yeah. I agree.
Amen.
Amen. This political editorial. What's enterprises and
Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah, thank you. That was helpful in learning how it works.
And if the other two want to introduce yourself to the court.
Okay. I'm Adriana. I'm Megan. I'm the new caseworker. Been here 3 weeks.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank y'all for.
There is no job in this courthouse more important than what you do, and that's helping poor people that cannot help themselves.
You serve a tremendous service.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for
y'all.
coming up here.
Does anyone else have any questions for them before they go? Okay, thank y'all very much.
Thank you. See y'all soon.
Thank you.
Not from Tucker.
They are,
They're
they are,
pretty good,
yeah, they
All right.
spend a lot of money about this.
Item number 7, discuss, consider, and/or take action to have Detain Inc. perform an audit of core health for 2023. I apologize to the court. I did not have the time to finish up my final review here, so I'm going to ask that we pull this down until Friday's session, at which point I'll be ready to fully offer that. Is there any objection to pulling this down until Friday?
No.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you. I assumed that that would be the case, so it is on the agenda. But
Which is, you had to do, because we,
that's right,
time
'cause
is
we're
up.
past the. All right, item number 8, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve and adopt the takings impact assessment for the proposed Wichita County subdivision regulations. Melvin, do you mind introducing this and just giving the overview?
No, I don't mind, Judge. Speaking of government hurdles that we get to have. So, whenever you adopt a regulation or ordinance like the subdivision regulations, the letter of the law requires that you do what is known as a takings impact assessment, or a TIA. I went ahead and did that. It's a legal review process where you look at what will this regulation, what's it going to do to an actual landowner? Is it going to possibly take their land? What's it going to do? Well, given that we are just passing the regulation, we're really exempt, and there's really nothing that's going to happen to an actual landowner right now. In the future, based on what is done with those regulations, it could come up again that we have to do another takings impact assessment, and there will be an actual landowner involved. But it's just kind of a formality that we still have to do the actual impact assessment just by virtue of us passing a regulation.
This regulation, I don't see in any way we'd ever take property. We might ask for an easement.
Well, at dedications and things like that, that's where it could be a regulatory taking as opposed to an actual taking that could affect somebody in the future. However, just by virtue of us passing the regulation, we're not actually doing that right now at all.
Right.
So that's why I say hypothetically there could be something in the future that would make us, then we'd have to do another takings impact assessment.
And we'd have to do a public hearing on that.
Yes.
That proposed taking.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, so Melvin, let me, because I'm having struggle getting my mind around it. Right now, this county court at law has passed a subdivision regulation.
Yeah.
And Jim Allison told me in Austin, Texas, which trains a lot of us in county education, that it's not valid unless we do a takings assessment. Because someone can argue that, and they can throw that out.
Yes, and if you read the law, Jeff, what happens is when you read the statute prefaces everything. It says, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. It goes, okay, are you adopting a regulation? And you're like, well, yes, we are. And then it says, well, what's it doing then? And then you say, okay, what's it doing then? Well, what we're doing is not taking anything or affecting land at this point. So we kind of stop there. But if you are going to do some sort of dedication or whatever, you go down, you keep going down and assessing it legally to determine what its impact will be on a particular landowner or group of landowners. And as I've said,
what about on the county government it's affected?
And what do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, let's say that we have subdivision orders, and the person's not complying in the county, and I know how it's going to impact my county road.
Okay, I don't know that we have to do. I think it's just for private.
Yeah.
It is solely directed at like the public and private ownership.
Well, I guess my question is, if that subdivision is being not put into the plan designed, because
Yes.
there is not, the county requires that a plat be made and an engineer be hired. And if that hasn't happened, and it's going to flood a county road, what's the course of business of this court?
Well, that's kind of that's really outside the takings impact assessment. there's different enforcement things we can do legally, but that's different. That really doesn't, I don't think the takings impact assessment really speaks to that.
It doesn't address enforcement at all?
No.
It's strictly designed,
it's
it's a one-way document protecting a member of the public from a taking by a governmental entity. I think to your point, that's where the subdivision regulations would have enforcement authority or legal action.
Well, if like, for example, if for these subdivision regulations we're going to pass, if somebody fails to comply with those, my office can step in and take enforcement action against them in the event that they are violating those regulations in some way.
Let me take it one step farther. The property is in the county, okay? And the person didn't have to comply with county regulations because it's inside the ETJ of the city.
There are other ways to address that too, because of the control that the county has.
But does that
over
come to your office to be managed?
That's a good question. I'd have to check, Jeff. I don't know on that one.
Because I
may
need to
well.
bring that
Sure.
forward. I just don't know how to
Okay.
do it, and I didn't want to do it
That's-
until we actually had a takings assessment. And
So, let me ask it this way. If we had a subdivision and they had to build a bridge over a waterway, and we found that bridge to be substandard, we could go take that bridge, we could remove it, have it demolished. Would that be?
I mean, I think that you, like from whoever owns it, like an
Well, it'd
eminent
be
domain.
whoever
I mean, there's
was
ways
in charge
we
of the
can go
subdivision.
and-
We wouldn't allow that bridge to be open because it's substandard bridge in our plotted subdivision that goes outside of our regulation. Or maybe not a bridge, or maybe a roadway.
I'm
Because
not
we lay out,
following
we lay out roadways in the
you're
subdivision
talking
order.
internally in a subdivision.
Yeah,
private
we told them that they have to meet these standards.
Yeah,
And
if
they
they're
will.
in
Well, that's
violation
only
of
if
the
you
standard.
adopted the road, otherwise it's their problem to fix. If you've adopted the road, it's your problem. If you hadn't, it's the subdivision's problem.
Thought in the subdivision order, we still require certain setbacks and everything else have to.
If you don't accept the road and they want to build the wrong one and it caves in, guess who the residents of that
They're coming
subdivision
to
is
us.
calling? No, we have to do nothing with it
I
because
know
this
we don't
court,
have to,
this
but
court took no action to accept that road because the subdivision wanted to and utilized their option to build whatever they wanted on that road. So 20 years from now, the citizens call it and Mark's gonna say, that's not our county road. It's not our responsibility to take care of. Call the guy that put the subdivision together because this court never took action to
Yep.
adopt that road.
no, I know. And
I
we've
would
got
say that if
the
we're-
problem in Archer County that on a road that is partially shared by me.
So the taxpayer doesn't waste money because somebody wasn't paying attention and that division, that plot guy that intends to sell and be gone forever, and this court's
I'm
not answering to.
All I'm trying to do is understand how we would have a taking. I don't, in what circumstance
what
would we have a taking?
It could be very rare or not at all. Like, I think you're right on when you say that it's within our right as a county to manage the health and safety of this county, to pass regulations
Right.
like this and to enforce them. And I think for the most part, I've never heard of, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but maybe there's been some county that's run afoul of private property rights by enforcing these things. I
Sure.
just don't know that, but I think
That's-
you're right. It's very
that's what I'm
unlikely.
trying to understand.
Yeah.
Well,
And
Mark-
but the law still makes us do the impact assessment.
No, I
just
get that.
Okay.
I just,
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Mark, the example that it sticks in my mind that I've experienced in real life. So in Louisiana, I had some friends that bought a landfill and maxed it out, okay? So its permitted life was over. And they did that and got the ultimate for it as they finished this prime space that left on top. And then guess what they did? They refused to pay property taxes.
Print agenda reading mode returned to the search page.
I didn't do anything.
Commissioners' court meeting
Yeah,
Tuesday,
close that
Hoping that
window.
the county would seize it.
Okay.
They refused to pay the taxes on this landfill. And Barry is 100% correct. The county immediately said, we're going to take that property from you. Guess what they wanted to happen the entire time?
Yeah.
The county to take that property and the taxpayer bear that burden. But guess what? That Louisiana did that. But guess what? We're not doing it in Wichita County because I want to fine that person $100 a day until that stacks up to $1 million. And if he can't pay it, then go set it out in the county jail. And guess what will happen? They'll fix the problem, Mark. And the taxpayer is not burdened by doing that.
Now, I can think of a property in Wichita County right now that fits that bill.
I can too. I know exactly the
I
one.
think everyone knows what we're talking about.
Thanks.
Really,
Construction.
this is a legal hoop that we
No, I get
need
it.
to
I get it.
jump
I'm just
through.
trying to understand
Theoretically-
where we'd ever have an impact. So if anyone
Theoretically-
asked me, what are y'all doing? You're taking property? No, we're not
No.
taking property. We're doing
You have to have an actual landowner who you're doing something
Right.
to.
Well, that was the
Clearly not
example
doing
that
that
Purdue
right now.
Brandon gave us of the wind farm at the meeting we had this year. That very same thing happened. It was, it was used up and they said, well, we hope the county will take it.
I just need
You
to be
don't
able to
want
adequately
everything
explain
you can
to
take.
somebody that asked me a question. So.
And I think that's really summed up on page 2 of the assessment.
Sure.
Does the county action require a physical invasion, occupation, or dedication of real property? No. Does the county action limit or restrict a real property right, even partially or temporarily?
No.
And the explanation
Yep.
that has been drawn up there, I think, speaks
Okay.
to it. So,
Okay.
have any other questions on the takings impact assessment?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Fincannon to approve and adopt the takings impact assessment for the proposed Wichita County subdivision regulations. All right, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Item number 9, discuss, consider, and/or take action to approve visionality quote for AV equipment for the 30th District Courtroom at a cost of $90,921.48 to be paid from Permanent Improvement Fund. This quote is produced for the Texas DIR contract DIR TSO 3889.
Yeah, we've been through this a couple of times, and thanks to Brendan and his crew and others, we've reviewed it over and over and took as much out of it as we could to do in-house. Ricky's staff's been pulling in wiring, laying some conduit, as opposed to having Visionality do it, which saved us a little. This courtroom's a little more complex than some of the others we've done, so the price is thusly higher as a result. But I think we've taken every effort through everyone's work to get it as low as possible, so it's the same type equipment, the same everything that we've done elsewhere in the courthouse. It's just a little more involved with this
Yeah.
courtroom.
And Brendan, for the other courtrooms, in talking to the other judges, they've been very happy with the Visionality hardware and how everything's working. And from your perspective, they've been good to work with, and is that right? Okay.
This is really the project we've been talking about for, what, 2 or 3 years, really, I guess, when this.
Yeah, this is
The last
This just
piece.
in keeping with everything else we've done. There's big advantages to have every courtroom outfitted essentially the same.
We've moved into the
Where-
20th century.
Where we do have judges share courtrooms from time to time, and they just walk in and they know the system already.
So it'll function the same in all of them.
It'll function the same. This one has,
There's a lot of merit to that, really.
this one has a little more like hidden speakers, and so because of the decorativeness of the courtroom, we didn't want to hang big speakers on the side of the walls. And so it's a little bit different, but it's essentially the same equipment, same approach. So it'll be my motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Watts Watts to approve visionality quote for AV equipment for the 30th District Courtroom at a cost of $90,921.48 to be paid from Permanent Improvement Fund. Any questions or comments on the motion or the item? All right, the motion is before us. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Last and certainly not least, receive update on courthouse renovation, elevator projects, and county courthouse annexes.
Well, if anybody was at the annex this morning, they saw the corner sign going up.
Did you see the sign?
No, no.
Oh,
It looks great.
It looks great.
Oh, my heavens.
It really looks good.
So
It really.
That looks fantastic.
Oh, boy,
it'll be a few days before it gets turned on. They still have to do all, put all the
Oh,
glass on
man.
it, so.
I saw it
That-
when I first drove up this morning, and I thought, man, what a neat deal.
So that project's moving on.
Got the county logo on the
And
bottom.
Is that not cool?
It's just gonna make that building.
It will. Yeah, it'll stand out in history forever.
Hopefully we get our flagpoles up. I know I've been saying that for nearly 4 years now.
I told our friends from the Hotter Hill this morning that we've done our part to
So,
the starting line. There's some work to be done.
it does look so much better
Yeah.
than what it did a few years ago.
It does. Boy, that building in general, you can't believe it's hard to imagine how bad it was until you bring it up to where it needs to be. It looks actually like a place of business now. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah. So that annex project's, the inside's going along very well. Hopefully we can get some bathrooms opened up soon. That's what I'm pushing for, is to get at least one set open again. Here at the courthouse, most of the effort's been in the 30th. If you haven't been up there to look recently, it's starting to take shape because they got sheetrock on the walls, they got plywood in the ceilings. It's starting to look like something now. So everything's great.
Okay. Any questions, comments on the item? Okay. It's 11:29. The court is adjourned.